but I'm a football guy, and I'm watching this free agent thing, and I think it's wildly entertaining. Actually, the team I thought did the best was the Green Bay Packers. They got 3 defensive starters and a starter on the offensive line. They went and got 4 starters, 3 for sure, and they didn't pay a fortune for any of the defensive guys. So I thought Green Bay had a really good free agent signing period. Raiders obviously made a big splash. Cleveland made a big splash. But, the thing about this business is if you do marginal homework, you can find out there's a lot of nonsense out there. This idea the New York Giants are going to they're going to detonate because Odell Beckham lost is laughable. They were awful with Odell Beckham. But I just want to remind everybody of this. I'm going to give you a bunch of teams that lost their star wide receiver. Now, in some cases, this receiver's not as good as Odell Beckham, but this receiver at least plays every Sunday. Odell Beckham's missed 16 games in 2 years. It's a real problem. He broke his ankle. He's a speed guy. So New England lost Brandon Cooks. He was their speed guy and their deep threat. What happened the following year? They won the Super Bowl. The Saints lost Brandon Cooks. What happened following year? 1 play from the NFC Championship. The Rams lost Sammy Watkins. They got better and went to the Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins lost their number 1 receiver, Jarvis Landry. 6-10 to 7-9. Better without him. The Bears lost Alshon Jeffrey. They improved by 2 wins the following year. Philadelphia lost Deshaun Jackson. Comparable, athletic and style to OBJ. 10-6 and 10-6. Calvin Johnson, who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver, retired from the Detroit Lions. They went from 7-9. He left. They went 9-7 to the playoffs. The Patriots bailed on Randy Moss. They went 14-2 without him. Cincinnati bailed on Ocho Cinco, 4-12 to 9-7. Now, I think they had A.J. Green as a rookie coming in, but the point is, Dez Bryant left the Cowboys. They got better. Non-playoff team to playoff team. This idea that you lose a star receiver, dominant wide receivers often create an unhealthy imbalance where the quarterback becomes paralyzed, especially in first halves, getting him the ball, getting him into the game, calming down his ego. We saw that with Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott got better the minute Dez Bryant left. Everybody was freaking out. Even in New York, the Giants were 4-12 in their last 16 games with Odell Beckham Jr. When he didn't play, Eli Manning spread the ball around more. So I don't ever buy. I think it's complete nonsense that if you lose your star receiver, it's like anything. Let's say I have a sports car. I've always compared wide receivers to sports cars. They're flashy, they're popular, but they're not as good when the weather turns. You can't have a convertible sports car out when it's snowing. And star wide receivers have never dominated the playoffs, even last year. It gets cold, it gets windy, you bracket them. I mean, basically, the Patriots took Tyreek Hill out of the game for Kansas City. And it's like a sports car. If somebody took your sports car from you, well, you just drive your SUV more. Maybe you'd lose a couple of great days, but it's not what you build your franchise around. You don't build your transportation around a Fiat. In most of the country, you need an SUV, a four-wheel drive, some car that can handle bad weather. That's all a wide receiver is. It's a flashy sports car, which, by the way, is often great September, October, but by November and December, they erode in impact. So, I don't buy. The Giants' issue is not losing Odell Beckham Jr. The Giants' issue is they took a running back last year with a number 2 spot and passed on a quarterback. That's their issue. If Sam Darnold was a New York Giant, Odell Beckham would still be a New York Giant because he wouldn't be unhappy. And they'd be winning more games because they wouldn't have a quarterback who's a complete shot fighter who's unathletic. Darnold's young, but he's athletic. He's a gamer. Played very well at the last month of the season. So you can do a little bit of homework, and this idea that Odell Beckham is going to change everything for anybody, he can't stay healthy. And frankly, you're going to feel like you have to get him the ball in Cleveland, and they've got great running backs, a great tight end, a great number 2. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland. This will not go perfectly for them. Let me shift to this with the New York Giants. I find this is one of the great mysteries in sports. And, sports is about superstition, but there's not very many mysteries in sports. We solve stuff in sports. Sports has finality. You win, you lose, you're in, you're out, you're traded, you get an extension, and not a lot of mysteries in sports. I think the greatest mystery in sports is why are the New York Giants so paralyzed by Eli Manning? Cut him. He'd save $17 million. The last 6 years, he's 38-57. And he has nothing left in the tank. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. The Colts moved off Peyton Manning faster than the Giants could move off Eli. Peyton was coming off a 10-6 season, got hurt, and they moved on to Andrew Luck. And Peyton Manning still had gas in the tank. The great Peyton Manning, Colts moved off him quick. The Packers moved off Brett Favre, who just got him to the NFC Championship. Still had a ton left in the tank. Let him go. The Niners moved off Joe Montana. 4 Super Bowls. He had a 14-2 year. Got hurt the following season. Exit stage right. They moved off. Eli's a bad quarterback with nothing in the tank. Why are they terrified? The Colts moved off Peyton Manning after 9 straight winning seasons. The Cowboys moved off Tony Romo to play Dak Prescott, a 4th-round quarterback, once he got hurt. Philadelphia was 11-5. Donovan McNabb led them to the playoffs. He had led the Eagles to the playoffs in 8 of 10 seasons. They trade him to the division rival Redskins. Yet the New York Giants can't move off Eli Manning. Remember when the Rams moved off Kurt Warner? He was like 14-2, got hurt, they moved off him. He eventually ends up with Arizona, leading him to a Super Bowl. I mean, Eli's got nothing in the tank. Favre had something in the tank. Peyton had something in the tank. Warner had something in the tank. Montana had something in the tank. So not only would you move off him and save money, he wouldn't come back to burn you. Like the Packers knew there was a chance Favre would come back to burn them. The Colts knew he was a free agent. Peyton Denver could come back to burn them. The 49ers, Montana, went to Kansas City. He would succeed. Marty Schottenheimer. I understand when teams are a little reluctant letting go of a star in division. I don't want to face him twice a year. I get the Steelers saying, we're not trading you to the Ravens. We're not trading you to the Bengals or the Browns or the Patriots. That's too close proximity. I get that. And I also get when he's still a star player, it can be painful because the Steelers know Antonio Brown on Sunday, he's going to be lighting teams up. And people are going to say, oh, Pittsburgh. But Eli's got nothing in the tank. You'd save $17 million. The Colts were less patient with Peyton. Well, that's because of Andrew Luck. Yes, in some instances, there has been somebody out there. But there was for the Giants, too, Sam Darnold. And they were petrified to move off Eli. What does New England build their entire framework around? Always move off people early and never late. It is the great mystery in sports. What in the God's name do they owe Eli Manning? Retire his jersey, put him in the Ring of Honor, Seacrest out. It is amazing. Teams have moved off quarterbacks with all sorts of suitors and talent left, and they can't move off Eli. And they can't move off Eli is why they're a mess. They're not a mess because they lost Odell Beckham Jr. They were 4-12 in the last 16 with him. They're a mess because they are somehow terrified and paralyzed to move off the less talented Manning brother. The great mystery in sports. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.